Welcome back. Hi, I'm Justine, and I'm here to tell you being mentally ill isn't the end of the world. I know what it's like to live with a mental illness. It's hard. You're constantly trying to hide your struggles from others, and you feel like you're weaker than others because of your illness. But that's not true. So many badasses struggle with mental illnesses, but they don't talk about them because they're afraid of being judged or thought of as weak-minded. Well, guess what? They're not. We can change that by talking openly about our struggles and sharing our stories with each other in a positive light. This is why I created Mentally a Badass, so we can come together as badasses who are also mentally ill or who's had it rough in life and share our stories with one another in a safe place that celebrates our strengths rather than shames our weaknesses. I hope this podcast helps you feel less alone in this crazy life of ours, and I hope it makes your life just a little bit better. Welcome back to Mentally a Badass. My name is Justine, and today her name is Wideline, and we have her here in person today, and she's going to chat about her childhood trauma and past and discuss with us what she plans on doing in the future. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. We've been waiting for you for like 2 weeks. No, 2 months, girl.
2 months.
2 months. Yeah, slay. Okay. All right. So let's dive into your story. So by the way, you don't have to share anything extremely if you don't feel like you have to be uncomfortable or anything like that.
Okay.
So whatever you want to bring to the table that would provide value to someone who is depressed or feels like they're losing hope. I want you to be that hope for others. So let's first chat about your childhood. So where would you like to start? Where would you like to dive in?
Let's talk about when I was younger. My mom, yes, she was in my life, but not really. She was mostly focused on bills and, getting her bills paid and stuff, and I barely seeing my mom and stuff. And it was to the point where I felt alone, like I had nobody. Because when the kids, for example, if we had activities and stuff like that, and I know a lot of people gone through that before, you feel me? When, for example, they have sports, mm-hmm. and they want their mom or their dad to be there, and every parent is out in the crowd besides yours. So I just felt empty. I see everyone running to their parents and stuff like that, and there's just me not going.
Yeah, no, that's actually that is really sad. Yeah. What about your dad? Was he in the picture?
My dad, yes, he was, but my mom and my dad wasn't really together. I was an oopsie. Let's just leave it there. They don't want to believe it, but I was a oopsie because I don't know, but I just feel in my guts I was a oopsie. I always see my dad on the weekends, but when I do see him, for some reason I was so close to my mom and dad. When my dad used to come pick me up, I used to cry because I didn't want to leave my mom by her side, leave her when I go to Miami. So when I do go to Miami, I used to bust out into tears because I didn't want to leave my mom. And my dad, he is a good guy. He's wonderful. But it's the fact that I wasn't really close with his side of the family. They used to mistreat me. I wake up and stuff like that. I always had to do chores. I used to feel what's her name? That girl that used to be it's a hard not life for us.
I feel like that sounds familiar.
Anne, something like that.
I don't know. I feel like I've heard it, but I can't really
I think it's Annie, but that's how I felt. I had to wake up, do chores, and I just felt I didn't feel comfortable. On the summertime, the kids used to have fun, used to go out and play, but instead I used to.
Kind of sounds a little like Cinderella to me.
Yeah, no, it's
Wait,
not.
Wait, was this at your dad's?
Yeah, my dad's place.
Wait, sorry, let me just back up a little bit just so we have a little bit more clarity. Where did you grow up? Where did you...
I was born in Miami, but raised in Naples.
Which is an hour from Miami? Or hour or 2 hours?
An hour or two.
Okay, so you were born in Miami and then you grew up in Naples, but you visit your dad in Miami?
Yeah, in the weekends.
Oh.
Not weekends, during the summertime, when I don't have school.
That makes sense. So your mom moved to Naples?
Yes, because she decided to move with this this dude that she fell in love with, which.
So did your parents separate while you were like born and like conscious enough to really see that they were once together and then not together?
To be honest with you, my mom and dad were never together. They were best friends. And I didn't know that my dad was my dad until I was 14 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That just cleared. So wait, so you didn't know who your dad was until you were 14?
14, yeah.
So that's when you started to do all the visiting. So
no, I used to visit him.
But you didn't know he was...
I didn't.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so
I thought he was my godfather the whole time.
Oh, wow,
yeah.
that just added to this episode.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah.
So why did you think your mom kept that from you?
Well, don't want to make it too like traumatizing, but my mom got married to this dude, which I don't have, like, to make it a little more interesting, I don't have my dad's last name. The dude that she married to is the dude that I have his last name.
Yeah.
So the dude that my mom married to didn't know that my mom was pregnant with me with like when she got pregnant. He didn't know nothing about that because he was trying to get his citizenship, his visa, to come to America and stuff like that. Like, so he could have his green card, I believe.
Yeah.
So while she was pregnant, when he found out, he said he will, me, my mom, and my dad,
Wait, what?
Yeah, he will.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just make it just so the listeners aren't confused, but put it in a way where it's not disturbing. Paige pretty much threatened.
Yeah.
Threatened
my mom.
Life. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I think I was kept a secret until I was 14, which my dad didn't tell me. My grandfather, he suspected. He's like, I know this is your child. And my dad's like, like he didn't want to say anything because I was there until when him and I went to visit my his side of the family in Haiti. That's when the truth came out. He's like, yeah, this is my child. And
sounds like a show or a movie to me.
Oh yeah, well, my whole life is a show and a movie.
Oh yeah, I feel like buckle up, guys. This is gonna get interesting.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So I love how it started out. First, just talking about your mom working a lot. Now we're getting into some stuff you usually see in the movies.
Yeah.
Which obviously happened in real life, but yeah, that's insane. So when you have siblings, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So yes, I do have a brother, which I never met my whole entire life, because he's probably 3 years old now. Before my dad passed away, like I was.
Oh, so the dad that you were visiting passed away?
Yeah, he passed away like he passed away in 2020.
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So my little brother was born in 2019. So 2019.
So half brother?
Yeah, he's my half brother. So I never met him. But so I would say yes or no. Like I do have a sibling, but we don't know.
You technically do, but you it's not like you grew up with siblings.
Yes.
So you grew up as like
the only child.
Only child, and is your mom still married to that guy?
No.
That's good.
The one thing I would say.
Sounds horrible.
One thing I would say about what I learned from my mom is to not, I'm not gonna become her, but is to at least wait until you find the right guy, because I've seen my mom with different type of dudes, and it's not like she's the problem. No, she is what he is, but we
all have our own flaws.
Yeah. Yes, but she's not picking the right guy for herself. Like, she's only listening to what they say, and
they're saying what she wants to hear.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of her looking at the actions, like how they treat her, like how they, act with her. So that's one thing I'm taking as a lesson, not a lesson, but to learn from, is to at least sit down and wait, because like I said, the dude that I have his last name, he wasn't a great guy. Like, he was horrible, and even though like I was small, but like when you're small, like you somewhat remember things, but you're little, but you don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But when my mom used to tell me stories, I'm like, yo, I actually remember this, like crystal clear. And it'll be like how he used to treat her. Like I still remember the time that like he'll be drunk and he used to like throw my mom, and yeah, he used to be so abusive and treat her really wrong. And and then it's crazy because like what he does is those are the type of dudes that my mom always bring around, like always start dating, is those type of dudes that abuses her. And seeing that makes like it kind of changes.
She definitely has her own demons she needs to work on, because if you're attracting those kind of people, you're mostly there's a reason that people attract those people.
Yeah.
And it falls into her childhood.
Yep. Like I was telling you before, everything happens from your childhood.
100%.
That's basically that's how I am too. Like that's why I'm always digging myself into deeper holes.
You know what I just uncovered here?
What?
Is that because before we started this podcast, obviously you know our conversation. I'm not going to mention details, but the moral of it is that you're always so nice. You're always too nice to people.
Yeah.
And you are always like going out of your way for people and letting them walk all over you and yada yada yada. You think that can probably? I mean, that stems from what you were just saying before, how you felt sad when your mom wasn't around.
Yeah.
So now I feel like you, deep down in your subconscious, you never want people to feel abandoned. You never ever people want to feel that they're alone and this and that. So that's probably why you always do all this stuff out of the goodness of your heart, even when people don't deserve it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you knew that. You probably did because you're your own person. But for me, just like psychoanalyzing you, like
I knew that. But like you said, like one thing I know about myself is, for example, if I don't do what makes people, if for example they ask, hey, can you do this for me, and I don't know how to say the word no, I always say yes. And if you know if the next person is happy, I'm always good. Like I feel complete inside. But I don't like letting other people down. Like you said, it all started from your childhood. Like my mom used to always let me down. My dad used to always let me down. Hey, Wideline, we're gonna go this, we're gonna do that. I promise you, I'm gonna take y'all to Disney. I promise you, I'm going to be there when you're playing soccer. And I look out in the crowd, no one's there.
Yeah, it's just constant disappointment.
Yeah, so I don't like disappointing others. Like I like to make other people happy.
Yeah. The only thing that backfires is that you give that to the wrong people. And I think that's like a learning opportunity. Is like really having to put your guard up to an extent.
Yeah. And
because I mean, I used to be like that. I feel like I used to always just like let people walk all over me. I mean, I told you my story with you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't have any patience for that anymore. So I guess I got disappointed a lot as a child too. I mean, thankfully my parents did show up to my like events and stuff like that, but there's other things for me, reason why I am the way I am. But I feel it's crazy. It's like I feel like the nicest people are definitely the ones who are traumatized the most, because they always want to make sure that people don't feel what they feel.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like the biggest thing. And it's just sad how there's people out there who just take all of that and then just how you are currently being treated by people, which is not right.
Yeah.
So is there anything else besides your parents' situation that you felt that contributed to your like depression and your struggles today?
No, I would say friendship too. It's like I always, for some reason, one thing about me, I always wanted to, like, when I have friends, I'm that type of person that I can't be alone. Not only with friends, with relationships. That's the reason why my relationship don't last, and when friendships don't last. Because one thing about it, like I'll give my all, and it's either I'll receive a little bit, or I'll receive none. So friendship wise, let's say I don't care about elementary, because elementary everybody used to get bullied. You feel me?
Not everybody.
Not everybody?
No, because I've talked to people throughout life, and not everyone has been bullied. So I feel like we expect it. But not everybody does, and that's where I've learned. I'm like, okay, yeah. So then I thought myself, too, oh, yeah, everyone gets bullied. But it shouldn't be normalized because it's not everyone does get bullied. There are some schools that, you know, it's usually just maybe one or two people in the class get bullied, and then everyone's usually decent with each other. It just kind of like really just opened my mind, you know, for me who talk to people from like all over the place. Not everybody has to have dealt with that kind of trauma. So let's just just don't normalize it. You can count that towards this. People are universally attracted to cute things. Plus, your everyday anxiety will be magically calm once you start to color. Coloring is proven to be an effective way to de-stress and relieve anxiety by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. This is why I created the Mentally a Badass coloring book. It is a self-affirmation color book with inspirational affirmations to help you feel better about yourself and give you the confidence you need in life. Order Mentally a Badass coloring book today on Amazon. The link will be in the podcast description.
Let's say back in, but I wouldn't really count elementary because, again, I was new.
That's the place you should count because that's where your brain is developing and you really have no sense of self.
Okay.
That's the biggest place because then the way that follows you to high school, where you're more likely to, if you're bullied and you have low self-esteem because you've been bullied in elementary school, it follows you to having bad relationships with guys and sleeping with a lot of guys, for example, doing drugs, doing alcohol, and yeah. So elementary school, I feel like, is like the biggest. The biggest, okay. Yeah.
So before I had moved to Naples, I was living in Fort Lauderdale. So while living there, I still remember, like, after school, it used to be me and I believe it used to be me and two girls. And for some reason, like, the fifth graders, I used to be the target. Like, if I used to have snacks and stuff like that, they used to throw me against a wall or, like, push me down and start beating on me. And I don't know how to fight. Like, I'm not gonna lie, to this day, I don't know how to fight. I don't know why, but I still don't know how to fight. But anyways, I used to get pushed on, stomped on, and everything. Like, I used to go home.
That's worse than me then.
Yeah. I used to...
You had way worse bullying experience than I did.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale, these kids don't play. But my mom decided to move me down here because, like, it was to the point where I felt like I needed guy friends. Like, I didn't need female friends because, like, what they're gonna do? Nothing. So, like, I used to hang out with a lot of guys, and my mom thought that, like, if I stayed in Fort Lauderdale, I would end up pregnant. So by the age of 7, they decided to move me to Naples, which the school I went to, I would consider it a stereotype type of school because it was, I would say it would be like 2 or 3 colored people in my school, and everyone else was, you know,
white.
White. I don't know how to say it.
Just say white.
White. And I remember this one dude. He looked at me. He's like, "Oh, like, you're African," and I'm like, "I know." And he said some racist stuff about, like, you know, Haitians, and it was to the point where I didn't want to consider myself Haitian. I used to lie about it. I used to be like, "No, I'm Black African American. Like, I'm not Haitian." And on top of that, like, he used to say something about my gums. Like, he used to be like, "Oh, like, if you don't have pink gums, that means you have disease. Like, you have gum disease." And I actually believed it. And I used to go to my mom and tell her, why don't you take me to the dentist? Like, I have gum disease. And she used to look at me crazy. It was to the point where I was not only getting bullied by him, but there's a bunch of girls that wanted to fight me again for no apparent reason, because they had the cool phones, or the cool, when, you know, like when the BlackBerry used to come out, and that was the very first time I think the iPhone came out. It's either the iPhone or the Razor. I forgot which phone that came out. And I didn't have a phone, so I had to, like, I used to tell my mom, "Hey, I need a phone." So eventually she bought me a phone, but it wasn't compared to the phones that the other kids used to have. So this one girl, she lied, and she said I stole her phone, which I didn't. I didn't steal her phone. And we started arguing. That's the very first time I would say I actually stuck for myself.
What grade was this?
It was, I believe I was in It's either, yeah, 5th grade, because that's when, what do you call that, dare, with that tiger.
You mean the program?
The program, yeah, because I remember it was 5th grade because they kicked me out of that. Because
why?
I'm about to tell you right now.
All right.
So she said that, oh, I'm still on her phone, this, that, and the third, which like I said, I didn't. So she took my arm. She tried to fight me. So I took her and started punching her because I was done. Like, I was over the bullying. I was done with the kids walking all over me. So I gave her a bloody nose. So then the next day, this other girl, she said something. She said a slick comment. So what I did, I got up, beat her up. So that's why they kicked me out of there, because all I did was I started fighting. So from there till middle school, if someone said something slick to me, I used to hit guys. Like I used to have bad anger issues. It was to the point where they had to call the principal on me, or they had to call the cops on me. But it wasn't to the point where I had to go to jail. But it was to the point where they had to talk to me. They're like, I know your mom feeds you. Like, I know she's giving you food. Like, why you acting like that? Like, I used to break my phone. I used to throw things. I used to throw tables. Like, I used to grab guys. Like, I remember this one dude, he slapped my butt back in middle school. Now we're in middle school. We're done with elementary. I graduated, by the way, guys. I actually graduated elementary. But middle school, I was still getting picked on in middle school. I didn't go to the same middle school as with the other kids that I've graduated elementary with. I went to a different school, which I thought it would be good, but no, I was still getting bullied. I started getting bullied the first day I went there, because this girl that no one liked back in elementary, I started being friends with her. And I was just like, they're like, oh, if you talk to her, we're gonna start bullying you too. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, you can't tell me who could be my friend and who cannot be my friend. So I was just like, I don't care. So I started hanging around with her, and people used to start bullying me. And like I said, it was to the point where this one dude, like, the boys, now they want to say, oh, you're cute back then and stuff like that. Want to lie in my face. But anyways, they used to, for example, smack my butt and do some weird stuff, which I didn't like. So I used to, there's this one little dude, he was shorter than me. So what I did was pick them up, threw him against the locker, and I told him, don't you ever put your hands on me, never again. And this other dude, he used to pick on me too while I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. I used to get mad, and I used to punch him. Like, don't piss me off.
That's so savage of you.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
Yep. And I'm gonna get back to high school too.
Oh goodness.
But I would say bullying would stop since after 9th grade. That's when you know, like when you go to high school, like how you used to dress, how you used to act, you change and stuff like that. That's what happened.
Do you figure out who you are?
Yes. So I figured out who I was. So I started dressing girly and started like being more presentable and knowing how to dress and stuff like that. And that's when all the people that used to pick on me, all of the people that that didn't want to be around me, that's when everybody wanted, started talking to me. And to be honest with you, I didn't care. Like, it was to the point where I was done. Like ever since elementary to middle school, I used to get picked on. So it was to the point where I stopped caring, and I was just like, you know what? Let bygones be bygones. Like, we were all kids, you feel me? So we started being cool. But that's when the dating situation started happening for me. So when I was 15, let's say 15, started 15, I used to go for older guys, like 24 or older. So like I used to talk to them, text them, you feel me? And I used to go meet up with guys. Cause like, I was just like, I want to be grown. Like, I hate being a kid.
Yeah, you're way above your year. You're way beyond your years, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I was just like, you know what? I want to be like one of those cool kids. So I went out with my friends, and this one time, like, I saw this dude, and he asked me for my number, but listen, I didn't have a phone. I had a tablet, so I gave him my Kick.
I remember Kick. Is that still a thing?
No, not.
I wonder if it still was. No. WhatsApp's a thing now. But
yeah.
Kick, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I gave him my Kick, so he started kicking. So afterwards, like he was talking about, can I come over? Like, how old you? Like how he was, like, he had a little slang to it too. He's like, how old you is? And I was just like, oh, I'm 16 or 17, even though that's a lie. I was 15. So he one day after I got off school, he's like, oh, can he pull up? Can you come over? And I was just like, yeah, that's fine. So he came up. I was surprised because when I met him at the park, he was sitting down. He wasn't that tall. So why when he came up to my doorstep, and I was just like, who is this dude?
That's so awkward. Wait, he like super...
He's tall, like 6 foot, like 6'2".
Okay. How old is he?
He was like around that time 24.
Holy shit. How old are you now?
I'm 24.
Oh my god. Putting that in perspective.
Yeah. So.
Alright.
I was just like, damn, this dude's tall. So he came in my room. He thought
Did he know that you were like, when you said that you were 16, 17?
Yeah, around, like,
That's
I was
still
15.
Like, that's still like super, well, despite if it was 15, 16, 17, like you're still like
underage.
Like, it's not like he's like 19 or 20,
yeah.
Where, I mean, it's still technically illegal, but like it's not as pedophile as, if you know what I mean. Okay, sorry, go on.
No, you're good. So he came, like, to be honest with you, I already knew what he wanted.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a 24-year-old guy.
And I'm like, to make it sound a little bit better for you guys, no, I did not lose my virginity, okay? I made sure of it. But when he came over, my mom had a roommate. It's a dude. And he's a snitch, so like, he would tell my mom everything. Like, well, if I do something, he will snitch on me. So when he came over, like 5 minutes before the roommate came over, he was laying in my bed. So I had to lie to him. I'm like, hey, can you like hide in a closet real quick? Cause my mom's friend is coming, and he's too tall. Like, when I tell you tall, like he's
no, I'm sure.
Like. Yeah,
that is so intimidating too.
Yeah, and then he looks scary. He looks really scary. So, and he one of those, if you know what I mean.
He wanted. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was just like,
how'd you meet him again? At a park?
At a park.
Oh.
He was playing basketball with his friends, and I wasn't dressing my age, if you know what I mean. So.
This is a scandalous episode.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I tell you, and I had to, like, my ex-best friend, I messaged her. I'm like, hey, code red. Like, we came up with the code for each other. So I was like, code red, like, I need help. And she's like, what did you do now with Lean? I was just like, I need help. Like, there's this dude in my house, and then the roommate is on the way here, and I don't know what to do. And she was just like, okay, I'm coming. So she didn't live that far from me. She lived, like, I would say, like, a street from me. So she had to come, and then she had to act like that was her man. So, and it's crazy because my mom and her
Where's
dad,
this friend now?
Oh,
she sounds like a real one.
Yeah, but we felt bad. That's a whole different story.
Oh, okay. We need a whole season just dedicated to your life.
But that was a whole other story with him. And then there's another dude. Don't get me started with him. I'm telling you, I feel like...
I think I need to do like a part 1. I think I'm going to get like all this content. I'm going to end up seeing how much content I have and be like, okay, I'm going to do a part 1 and part 2. Seriously. They have to. Go on.
So,
no, don't say sorry. It's great content. Go on.
So the other dude that I used to talk to, he's, again, older than me.
How much older this time?
He wasn't that bad. Okay, so I think I was 17. So he could have been 22.
That's not that bad.
That's not that bad. Yeah, but I learned my lesson because he didn't have a car. He was riding on a bike. He dropped out of high school, and I was in.
You get his GED?
No, no. He's a.
Okay. All right.
So I was.
You attract amazing dudes.
I know. I realize that about myself now. So with that one, he found me on Facebook, and I started talking to him. And 2 days later, I made him my boyfriend.
2 days later?
2 days later, I made him my boyfriend.
Yeah, he turned you on with that bike, I guess.
I didn't know he was riding a bike.
Oh.
I didn't know until I told him, "Hey, can you pick me up like when I get off school?"
And rolling up with his tricycle.
No, he rolled up by McDonald's, like, cause I used to go to school in Naples.
Did he take you on the first date to McDonald's?
No, my first date was at his mama's house.
I love you. This is just so like slay, like.
I was just like, and then he's like, yeah, like he seemed like a good guy, but Lord forgive me, but them cheesy teeth, his teeth was so buttery, and I was just like,
okay, I just visioned that.
And I was just, and he was smiling. He has a nice body. Like I was just like, oh yes. And then his teeth, he smiled. I was just like, no, close them. But like I said, I thought I could change him, but I couldn't. Like I you know how you people say, oh, you can never change a man to become a better person.
Yeah.
That was an example A. I couldn't change him. Like I was just like, you have so much going for yourself. Like as a sophomore telling a grown adult, like you have so much potential. Why don't
that shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, like I was just like, you have so much going for yourself.
Different, completely part of his life too. His brain's completely different. Yeah.
So I was just like, you're doing this, you're doing that, and finding out, I didn't know that he had a whole girl while I was with him.
Oh God.
Yep. So that's a different. Yep.
That's a whole different trauma.
Yep. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like when I found out, I was just like, you're really gonna sit here and tell me you have a whole girl, but yeah, I was at your house. Your mom drove me from school to your house to drop me off back home after being...
The mom, I guess, didn't know about the other girl.
I think she did. Like you know how
unless he was like, oh yeah, like my friend or something like that. Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, okay. And then like the mom seemed so happy for me, and like not happy for me, but happy for him. Like he found somebody, but she didn't know my age. But I was just like, I was shook. Like I was to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm done with guys. And then guess who reappeared back to my life? The one that I met when I was 15.
The 24-year-old.
Yes. So that was that. Okay, so that's sophomore. So junior year, it was like I said. Like I felt like I couldn't be alone. Like between jumping from friends to guys, I wouldn't say I was like in a true relationship. You feel me? I was just, they were there for fun.
Right.
But it's not like I was being a, SLUT. I wasn't doing none of that. Like, I didn't lose my virginity till I was 19. To be honest with you.
Don't worry, I'm not judging you.
Yeah. To my actual lover, which bump him. I'll get into that. That will be a part 2 because this is the reason why I'm very traumatized where I can't stand guys. But the other dudes, they were just a lesson learned. Like I didn't know what I want, like what type of guy.
You're just playing the field.
Yeah.
Sounds like, yeah.
But the one I actually fell in love with, that I'm gonna give you a sneak peek. Like my mom, like my ex got kicked out of his house, like where he was staying at, and I decided for him to stay with me, with my mom. I was living with my mom at that time. I was 19. And I snuck him to the house. Well, when he got kicked out, like I was just like, okay, don't say nothing. Like you're staying here. Like you feel me? Like you're good. And when I finally told my mom, like I would say 2 days later, I told my mom. My mom was just like, Wideline, what? I'm like, yeah, my boyfriend's staying with us actually. And she's like, she was just like, no, he's not. I'm like, well, if he's not staying here, then me and him gonna be living out on the streets. I don't care. Like, that's how hard I went for him.
Right.
For him to try me like that. But anyways, more of the story, guys are not like that. Well, I haven't found the right guy yet. But that's part of the, like, my trauma. Like, with guys I've dealt with. Like, seeing how my mom, like, how she was with guys and how guys treated her. It's like a pattern that I feel like I'm repeating.
But you don't have to.
Which I know I don't have to, but that's why I'm stopping it now. Because I see myself ending up in the same position as she is. And like, I remember my mentor told me while I was with my ex, he says, Wideline, you better stop or you'll end up 6 feet under or end up in jail. It was to the point where, like, I see that my anger started building up since I was small. Like, I knew I had anger issues, but I never, like, like when you're going through some things, but you don't want to.
When you get irritable and angrier,
and you're in denial, like you don't know that you have something going on with you.
Yeah, because it's all in your subconscious that people don't realize that when like shit happens to you, it stays with you. Like
it follows you.
It stays with you in the back in your subconscious, and then you react and you don't realize like why I'm acting like this. And it's like because you never dealt with what happened to you, and that's why I hate about. I just said it to myself. And what I hate about toxic positivity is that a lot of people on Instagram and social media, like these boss babe girls or like these people who, I get you're trying to spread a positive message, but a lot of times they spread a lot of like toxic positivity.
Or false.
Like, oh, if shit happens to you, oh, just get back up. Like, okay, can I feel that first? Can I feel it? Can I be in my feelings? Can I go through it? Can I, And I just don't like those girls on social media. I feel like they're very toxic.
Yep.
I feel like they don't maybe realize it because there's a lot of like, I've read a lot of personal development books and self-help, and some of them, what I notice is that I feel like the ones that say, oh, yeah, just get back up and keep pushing, I feel like a lot of those books are the ones that are like written by men.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't realize that until like now. I'm like thinking about certain books that I've read, and I'm like, those were written by men, like back in the old days. Like obviously, like it would be a different perspective if a woman wrote it. And like there are particular girls I know that have childhood trauma that are now on social media. Like, I'm not saying you have to like mention your trauma on social media to be like considered credible or something like that, but just I hate when people pretend they have the perfect life. I think that's what I'm saying is like, these are the people who are trying to sell like
a fake dream.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's like fake. It's definitely like attainable, but it's not being really thoughtful of other people's lives.
True.
Like for me, I struggle with bipolar disorder, so it will be harder for me to reach certain goals than people who don't have my illness because I constantly in battle with my brain. With my moods constantly changing, and it's like if I'm trying to reach a goal, let's say in something, and one day I wake up extremely like depressed, that's kind of hard for me, and I have those days, and they do there are people who do talk about like, oh yeah, we all have our hard days, like they say stuff like that, but that's like on top of the iceberg, that's not deep, and I just don't want like when people just like, I know in my life, like the way I present myself on social media, and you probably have seen it since you follow me, is that I always, before I show what I have now, like the kind of life that I live now that people want, I show where I was before. And I also would still show like, oh yeah, I still have some struggles, like, like my life's not perfect. Where some people literally DM me and they think my life's perfect. And they ask me, how do I get to where you are? I'm like, well, there's a lot of crying involved, a lot of self-doubt, like I like to share that stuff.
Sure.
I don't like to just be like, oh yeah, like I have a perfect life now because I work for myself. No.
It's
like,
easy peasy.
I have different demons now.
Like stress.
Yeah, but that would be a whole different podcast. I should probably do a solo podcast on that. But anyway, I'm not going to talk more about me. I'm talking about you. So you were saying how your anger would show up in ways where you're like hitting people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was to the point where, like, for example, when I used to, well, to this day, I'm not gonna lie. To this day, I will throw things, or I'm happy. This
It's normal.
phone,
Everyone has anger.
Yeah, it's to the point where, to be honest with you, it's normal for me. Like, I used to throw my phone.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been my. This is a 12 Pro Max. So I had a 11. 11, I think it's 11 Pro, I don't remember, but it was 2 years ago. I actually got into it with one of my roommates, and I threw my phone. And instead of hitting him, because I feel like if I hit him, it would have been 10 times worse. So I threw my phone, and it started smoking, and I pushed a hole on the wall, like in their wall.
Dang.
Letting them know I'm mad, like, you feel me? So all this anger that's like building up is just that, like my therapist said, I had a therapist for
I was just gonna that was gonna be a follow-up question, if you've been going to therapy for that.
Oh no, you wanna listen to her response? This is my second therapist.
Here we go.
She said on my first like start, like me talking to her, like letting her know about my childhood and stuff like that. She said, you have so much going on that I can't keep being your therapist. You have to find somebody else. She said I have a lot of trauma. So I just sat there and thought about it and started crying. I'm like, all I'm doing is crying out for help, and all I want is a listening ear. And you're telling me I have so much trauma that you can't help me out? Then why you became a therapist?
Yeah, that's true. I've had therapists where I felt, like my recent one, where I felt my trauma was too much, and she never said to me, I don't think it could be like helpful to you, and I so I pretty much just kind of like just dropped her, because I, with my struggle, I have like bipolar, BPD, like a lot of shit and stuff like that, and she would just give me very generic advice, like stuff I could just Google. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I'm paying you money to be my therapist, like, why are you giving me advice that I can literally just Google? And I always like try to like, I gave it a couple of sessions just to like see, like, for example, I was struggling with like really bad nightmares. Like, I was having like the most disturbing nightmares, and I would describe it to her, see if she can help me out and dig deep into it. And her response was more just kind of like, I recommend going to your doctor or something like that. She had no idea why I was having these nightmares. But then I Googled, and apparently people who live with bipolar can have disturbing nightmares like that. Like, it's a common symptom. But she didn't know that. So I'm like, why, and I feel like, my opinion on this is that maybe she was a new therapist and didn't really know how to because you do have a lot of trauma. I can definitely understand your side though. Like, you're here crying for help, and someone's like pretty much doesn't want to like take your case, which is like really messed up. And did you eventually find someone who can help you?
No, I gave up. At this point, I just like started,
And you saw two, right? And what did the other one say?
Oh, the same. She's no.
Well, the same thing.
No, hers. Okay. She said, "Are you sure you're not the problem?"
Wait, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Then that was my first therapist too, and it was from BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
Oh yeah, the one that I felt couldn't help me was from BetterHelp too.
Yeah, I was just like, kid you not, because
it is a discounted service, so they probably give you like the most unqualified people.
Yeah,
honestly.
Because I was just like, because I was going, like, I just graduated from, not graduated, but I finished medical assistant, got my first job as a dermatologist, like working at a dermatology office, and where I was at, like, I felt like I was getting mistreated. Like, I have anxiety, not only depression, but I have anxiety too, and if my spirit or if I feel like I'm not in a right environment, my anxiety will start acting up. Mm-hmm. So it was to the point where I didn't want to show up to work. Like, some days I would cry before going to work. Like,
me too. I've been there.
Yeah. I was just like, I would seriously like pray. I'm like, okay, God, like, make this be a great day, even though it's not going to be a great day. Please make it be at least something, like, at least decent. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'll go to work, still bad. Like the they don't want to, and I was new at that job, so like no one wanted to really train me. My first job was cleaning the elevators. I did not know I was a janitor working as a medical assistant. I don't get paid to clean up the elevators. So
that's weird.
Yeah, so I was just like, I was upset, and my friend, my ex-friend, she told me, hey, like, I've seen that, like, you have a lot going on, like, you need to hop on this, like, this will help you out, like, better help. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So hop on there, and I told her about my past, about my ex-relationships, like how my childhood was. And she stayed on the phone with me, and she's just like, are you sure you're not the problem? I'm like, how am I the problem? She's like, you see like how you're spazzing on me? I'm like, well, I'm spazzing on you because you're not helping me. Like, how you know I'm the problem? Like,
wow, that's like so unprofessional of her.
Yeah, so I was
like, you're not supposed to respond like that. And also, as a therapist, you're supposed to expect people spazzing on you because they're here with mental health problems.
Yeah, so I was, and on top of that, I was just like,
she should get her license revoked. Honestly,
no, she just need to find a better job because
she shouldn't have a license if she's gonna act like that.
Because
that's dangerous to the industry.
Big facts.
Yeah, because you don't know if you were like suicidal at the time and you were told that by a therapist. You know, you're there to get help, not to be judged.
Yeah, and I even told her like what I'm going through and stuff like that, and she seriously, it was to a point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm done with therapies. So when I'm now, like, I'm recently going to see my doctor and stuff like that, it was to the point where I haven't seen no doctors, none of that. So I was like, I need to start taking care better of myself and stuff like that. So I finally found a doctor, and she even told me, like, she put me on antidepressant medication and anxiety medication, which, to be honest with you, I'm not going to take. The reason why is because I feel like it doesn't really help me. It makes me more depressed. Like, every single time I used to take it, I used to like be down and used to hate life. Like, my depression and my anxiety, not my anxiety, but mainly my depression, is starting to get worse ever since, you know, my father passed away. So all that is just like, someone I truly love is out of my life, but yet he was in my life my whole entire time. But I knew he was, like, I personally, even though I didn't know he was my father, but he was someone that used to actually take care of me, you feel me? That was there, and if I needed anything, I used to call him, like, hey, I need this, or like, need someone to talk to. And I personally took advantage of him when he was alive. He used to always want to hear my voice. I used to be so stuck in being in love with the dude that I thought that was in love with me, that I forgot that I had a father. Like, I was so focused on a guy. Like, he's my everything. And my own father, I used to like dub him. Like, he's before he passed away, he didn't see me for like 3 years.
Did you ever get like a diagnosis from a therapist?
No. No, they haven't diagnosed me.
Wait, how can they, if they give you medication, they have to diagnose you with something?
Yeah, with anxiety, depression, that's it.
Yeah, the most basic thing, which, like, honestly everybody in this world has.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, okay. And I feel like I have more than that, because
we can talk about that. So there's something I want to talk about, but we'll do it off the podcast, because I feel like I have a diagnosis for you. Okay, go on.
I think I kind of diagnosed myself too, but I didn't want to tell my
obviously I'm not like a doctor, but I do like have a background in psychology in school. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, so like, I'm just like, I feel like I have daddy issues. So like, all these stuff, like, I realized I've been doing is because, like, you know, like, even though my dad was part of my life, but he wasn't really in my life. Like, he wasn't really there.
Like, he was there, but he like wasn't like a father figure. I meant like a traditional father figure.
Yeah, like, you know, waking up like mom and dad.
Okay, mom, dad, yeah.
Yeah, like, I wasn't raised in a like with a mother and father, like, in the same household, like how I dreamt, like how I wanted my life to be. You feel me? Like, I always wanted to wake up, my mom making food, my dad, you know, like, you know, all of us one big happy family.
Yeah, but the American dream.
Yeah, but it didn't turn out like that. It turned out so differently, and it's just, I feel like that's why I'm more angry inside. But it's more to it, which I have to find the root, like my doctor said, and a lot of people say I have to find the root and the reason why I'm the way I am. But to be honest with you,
I feel like I know. There's some things I could relate to. I have both parents. I can't really relate to that part of your life, but I can relate to the guy stuff, the bullying and the anger and stuff like that with my own personal story. So with all of that, considering everything you've been through, moving forward in life, like putting all of that behind, what do you want to do with that trauma in a positive way?
The positive way is that's the reason why I want to enter the medical field. Like it's like I love helping people. Like that's the most like that's something amazing. That's why I became a medical assistant. I love working with kids. Like I was the only child, and I like being around kids. I love kids. That's why I started being a medical assistant, working at a pediatric office. And it's crazy because while I was in school, I posted that one day I'll be a medical assistant at a pediatric office, and that's what I
manifested that.
Yeah, I manifested that, and I prayed on that, and that's where I'm at. So the job that dermatology, it didn't work out for me, and I ended up where I actually wanted to be at. I love working with kids. Since I was little, I used to always work with kids. So all my trauma, I'm put it towards like my work. You feel me? Like of course, working as an RN, like registered nurse, like in like probably like peds. I'm still debating because I do want to work in the ER and stuff like that. But at the same time, I want to work at like for example, like kids Golisano, like children Golisano, like work with kids and stuff like that. Because another thing is, the reason why I want to work with kids is because my mom lost, she had three miscarriage. And I could have had like 3 siblings right now, but...
Yeah. You're the miracle child.
Yeah, literally. I told my mom that, and my mom told me the same thing too, because when I was in her stomach, my umbilical cord was wrapped around
Mine
my
too.
neck.
Oh my gosh. Why does like all the people who have trauma like always start out like that? Like our life should start with trauma.
For real.
Before we went out of the womb.
Like, here you go. Trauma child.
Do you ever just feel like you're like God's favorite or something like that?
Yeah. Like
there's a song I want you to listen to after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she's like, my mom, like, she even told me, and to be honest with you, I feel like that, like, this year is going to be the year where I try to leave my trauma behind and start, like, really focusing on myself and figure out who I am. Not, like, yeah, the trauma is what created me, but I'm not going to let that make me. You feel me? I'm gonna try to be a better version of myself. Like, letting the situation with guys go, like, and in friendship, the one thing I forgot to talk about is friendship, because every friends I have, I realize they try me. Like, they will smile in my face but talk behind my back, or we could be friends right now and later down the road I can't. One thing, I'm gonna keep it short and simple. One thing about me, I can't have friends for too long unless you get me, unless you understand.
I was gonna say, you're gonna say bye to me in a month.
Oh no. You're like, and if you don't understand like what I'm going through, and you think that my trauma is a joke, or you're making excuses on why I'm the way I am, or like telling me, oh, it's all up in my head, then I can't be friends with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the type of friends I want in my life. I want someone that understands where I'm coming from and why I'm the way I am. And, you know, if I want some space, give me some space. Because I don't always want to be around people. I like to be by myself.
Oh, me too. It's like where you have like no energy to just like talk to anybody.
And it's just, you want to be to yourself, listen to music, and
watch TikToks.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm like just scrolling on the TikTok rabbit hole.
Me, I used to, like, I don't know, I still do that. But I like to listen, like, for example, when I'm in that mood that I want to be left alone, I like to listen to music. And I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but like I'm the type of person. If I'm sad and I want to make myself cry, I listen to sad music.
I do the exact same thing.
I thought I was the crazy. I thought I
No,
was crazy.
I know what's funny is that when I was with my boyfriend, we did an episode, me and him, and we talked about that. Fun fact.
For real?
Yeah, we brought that up. We brought that up in the conversation. I was saying to him, like, I, like, listen to, like, when I'm, like, sad and I just, like, need to just, like, when I'm in one of my moods, I, like, listen to, like, really disturbing and sad music, and it works. It helps me, actually.
For real?
I'm telling you, have you gotten a chance to listen to Nessa Barrett?
No.
You have to. Like, she's so good. She's so fucking good. You would literally listen to her whole fucking album, and you'll be like,
okay,
she gets me.
Put me on.
Yeah, you gotta listen to it. It's so fucking good. Yeah, I think before last time we spoke, we hung out. I think it was before her album dropped.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, no, she. I'm like literally, I've talked to some people about Nessa Barrett because I just love her so much, and I've like turned everyone into a super fan.
Okay,
yeah, I'm telling you, like I'm actually gonna see her in March. I'm flying to Philly to go see her in concert. I'm so fucking excited. I saw her in concert already at the When We're Young festival in Vegas, and it was fun. It was good. I was just so tired because it was a festival and she was the last one I saw, so I was like so dead. But I was like, I have to go, obviously. But I'm excited to. Me and my boyfriend are going to Philly. It's actually our 1 year, so we're gonna go for like our anniversary, and like her concert is the day of our 1 year. I'm like, perfect.
That's good.
It worked out amazing. Yeah, no, I'll show you one of her songs like after we get off this, but I feel like I promote her so much. I wish she would notice me one day. I would love to have her on my podcast. You should listen. Have you ever heard of the podcast Call Her Daddy?
No.
Okay, it's really good. So I know it kind of sounds very sexual, which the podcast actually did start out like one of those podcasts.
Okay.
Like you literally listen to the podcast, you end up being a little turned on after. But now it's like her podcast blew up, the girl who started it, and now she's focused more on like interviewing people and talking about like real stuff like that. So she had Nessa Barrett on her podcast, and let me tell you, I literally was on the plane listening to this podcast. I was like, oh my God, I'm in public. I'm going to start tearing. Because she was talking about her story. Mm-hmm. And it was so dark. And like what she was saying, I was like, oh my God, she has so much guts to talk about what she was just talking about. She was talking about, like, spoiler alert if anyone wants to listen to that episode, but she has BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. And she had a couple of suicide attempts. And her first one was when she was 14. And then she had a recent one about like less than a year ago. And she ended up in a mental hospital. So she was saying on the podcast how she like overdosed on some type of pills. And then she was about to she was already like overdosed. She was about to get into her car and drive it off a cliff. But her friends got there just in time to stop her. And then they put her into a mental hospital. And when she was talking about that, it was obviously really hard for her to talk because she kind of had like relived through those emotions. So it's like, I felt that. I was watching this because it was also like, it was visual. And I'm like, oh my God. And just like, it was so recent. Yeah. It was pretty recent. So I'm like, and she was already doing music and her album was already out and yada, yada, yada. Maybe it was before her album. I don't know. But I was like, I would lose it if Nessa Barrett like died or something. Like honestly, like I usually don't cry when celebrities die, but like if she died, like I would literally just have to like throw my own like funeral thing and grieve or something like that. Yeah. Because she is doing so good for the world. Like her music is so raw and it's actually like freaking good. So you like listen to the lyrics and I'm just like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, I've been there. But yeah, so kind of like transitioning back to you said you want to, be there for kids and everything and go into being an RN. Would you see yourself working like a pediatrician office? Because that's where you'd be like more with like kids.
Yes and no, because like I said, I don't know where I truly want to be in because I not only like working with kids, I actually do want to work in the ER. Even though it's going to be a lot, it's going to be hectic. Yeah. But I like to move. I like fast-paced jobs. I don't like slow. And if I do become working with kids, I want to be with babies, like neonatal.
Oh, would you do labor and delivery?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
It's either that or the ER, cause I like cool stuff. Like I wanna come home and be like, yo, like even
I saw this bone pop out.
For real, like. Well, I blame Grey's Anatomy because Grey's Anatomy, even though some of the stuff on there is not real, but it just feels so real.
Have you seen House, the show?
Yeah.
I freaking love that show.
I love that show too. And there's another doctor show, I forgot. Oh, Chicago Meds. That's my show too. Like I love the show.
All right, so before we wrap up, I always like to ask my guests if there's one last thing you want to say to my audience. So people who may be listening may have had childhood trauma or something similar. You mentioned right now you're not fully in the state of where you want to be, but you are in a better place than you were before. So at least that's what I think you are. Well, okay, I know what you're going through right now, but you're not punching people, so that's a good thing. Does that make sense? You're not angry to that point. I'm trying to explain in a way where it's I know you personally are going through something right now, which the audiences need to know, and I know between me and you, but I feel that you as a person have grown. Yeah. That's probably the better way of explaining it.
So what I've learned is to not give up, because even though there's obstacles down the road, I know that in the near future I'm going to be in a better position, in a better spot. All I can say to the audience is keep moving forward. Don't let nothing stop you. If you believe in God, if not, all I'm going to tell you is there's always going to be hard times before you reach your actual goal. So to not
life's
give
always
up.
Up and down.
Yeah, to not give up, because if you give up now, you're not gonna see. You're not gonna see
what could have been for you. Yeah.
What could have been for you, and the goals that you could have achieved. Because that's what I have to keep telling myself, that there's going to be there's gonna be a rainbow down the line. There's going to be some type of light down the road. So I have to keep moving forward, because where I was at before, I'm not in that position again. Where I was for example, with my ex, I could have still been in that position. I could have been 6 feet under. I could have been in jail. I wouldn't have become a medical assistant. There's always a will. There's a will. There's a way. There's all I can say is keep pushing forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And for whoever's listening, I hope you guys have a good morning, evening, night, or wherever you are.